Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so what were we talking about? We were
Active
talking
measures.
about what was it called?
Active measures. This documentary.
I forgot. What it was.
About Putin.
Active measures. Yeah. So yeah. So what toll does Guy have over Trump? Well, that's one of the most revealing things about Trump. Apparently, he was having a lot of trouble, maybe 20 years ago or something like that. Maybe even earlier than that, with his financial empire. And it was something like $4 billion or $8 billion.
They said $8 billion.
They said $8 billion, exactly right.
Yeah. I think wasn't that his daughter who said
Oh.
that they were walking past a homeless.
Yeah, they walked past a homeless person.
$8 billion richer than
and yeah, that guy's $8 billion richer than me. Well, who bailed Bozo out? And it was the Russian mafia.
Well, you don't know who.
Russian oligarchs.
You can't know. You can't know who.
It looks very suspicious. You see,
Yeah.
what happens is they were looking at people who've got connections with him. And,
Yeah,
they
I
go,
know.
dude, and it ended up with a Russian mafia guy.
Oh,
Putin's the next step, right?
I agree. I think that that's the case, but I would not say that's.
Well, it's not 100%
Not 100%.
certain, but
Because you can't know.
can't know for certain.
No.
But you don't know for certain the sun's going to rise tomorrow. That's a
No, I know.
so.
And you think about, well, who was going to open their pockets and toss out $8 billion to bail someone out? And
That's right. I
yeah.
mean, and then he's behaving very much as though and understand, he's not doing this as a quid pro quo. Hey, these guys did me a favor, and I'm going to be nice to them. It's basically, these guys are mafia guys, and he's not afraid of being exposed because of a few sordid indiscretions in a Moscow hotel with various hired women and stuff like that.
Well, I don't know. I mean, certainly not over water sports.
I don't know. You see, like, especially nowadays, like, why would he be covering up? Because his popularity has just been, they say no president has had as consistent
I mean, there could be
popularity.
incredibly. I mean, what's his name? Who was into eating poop?
Chuck Berry.
Yeah.
It didn't ruin
And
his
it didn't
career.
ruin his career.
Yeah, there we
So
go.
you got to wonder. I mean, what is it, right? It's certainly not water sports,
Yeah.
because that's honestly, that's pretty vanilla.
Probably.
Pretty
Yeah.
vanilla.
Yeah. I mean,
So,
it'd
it's
have
not
to be
that.
something like S&M.
Well, it'd have to be more serious than that.
Serious
That's,
stuff. Yeah.
I mean, again, that is commonplace now.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's who died or who had a
Exactly
limb
right.
amputated
that's
and
what-
humped.
Yeah,
Or,
something
you
like
know
that.
what I mean?
Or
Like,
maybe
it's got to be serious
necrophilia
stuff.
or something like that.
Right?
Or maybe even
None of this
necrophilia
stuff
would-
is worth, like, you're
Yeah.
saying, oh, well, they might have a hold on him because of what? No,
Yeah.
of course not.
So, but you were mentioning death. This is the deal. If you borrow from the mafia and it's $8,000 and you don't pony up one way or another, they might do a quid pro quo. It's not necessarily you give us $8,000 back. It might be, you help us hack into your company's computer system or something like that. Well, I mean, he's helping. He's basically. He's theoretically controls the American military, this, that, and the other thing. So, has access to all sorts of secret information, so on and so forth. I can guarantee you that their CIA, the FBI, the Office of Naval Intelligence, the heads of the Army intelligence in the United States, NSA, they're trying to, just like crazy, to keep this guy's eyes off of stuff that really matters. But so that's $8,000. If you owe some mafia outfit $8,000, your kneecaps, no, your life is in danger if you don't pony up with what they want. Well, $8 billion is 1,000,000 times $8,000. So understand, Trump knows his life is in danger. The life of his kids is in danger. The life of any woman he cares for is, well, that's no one. Really, I mean, I don't. The guy's awful scuzzbug when it comes to women. Don't have to say anything about you know, that was the key thing to the whole thing. They were going through all the financial stuff.
They did a very good job on the documentary.
Yeah, it's coming clearer and clearer. I wish they hadn't dwelt on the water sports, because that's just a sidelight. You know, like Trump is so shameless. I don't think he really cares. You know, like
nobody would care about that.
Not enough.
Not enough. No.
I mean, people. You can see it's. You know, what he was saying about women and what you grab them by and stuff like that, that had no effect on his popularity. You had Christians supporting him, militant Christians supporting him, vanilla kind of Christians supporting him, and stuff like that, still do. You know, his popularity is sitting at quite a high level. I think it's higher now at this stage of the game in his administration than Reagan's was. And Reagan, wow, he easily was reelected. Something will have to happen of amazing sort for this guy not to get reelected, and the Democrats, understand, are not doing it. I mean, you got Bernie Sanders looking so he's making another run. He was such a hosebag. Any intelligent person back then in 2016 would have known that they, in Bernie Sanders' position, would have known he was getting dirty money from rich Republicans in order to split up the Democratic Party, and he's got to have known that it was coming from elsewhere. You know, like there would have been rumblings about Russia and stuff like that. So what happens is the Russians were piling money onto Trump, piling money on Bernie Sanders. What they were hoping to do is get Trump elected, and they were also hoping that Sanders would split the vote in the Democratic Party. Well, the idea would be for it to have him run, and then all of a sudden they would have pulled the funding out.
Well, yeah,
and he would have been going, how come no one wants to interview me? How come my popularity, which is enough to get me nominated for the Democratic the presidential nominee for the Democrats, how come I only got 10% of the vote or 9% of the vote? What happened? Well, dude, you're a socialist. Americans hate socialists. Come on, you know. Geez. Well, some love it. You know, they love themselves. But geez, the guy's so socialist that he runs as an independent. He's not even the Democratic Party. Geez, like. He gets elected in Vermont. You know, the deal is when you get a presidential candidate, almost every presidential candidate has won their home state. What is the population of Vermont?
It can't be that high. It's very small. Yeah.
You know, like you get someone from California or Texas or Florida or New York. You know, Hillary Clinton, I think, was listed as coming from New York or something like that. Donald Trump from New York. You know, you gotta have someone from a big state so they can carry it. Vermont, what a joke! I mean, I think it's got a bigger population than Montana or Wyoming.
But anyway,
it's got a bigger population than Wyoming.
In the documentary, though, they showed how they didn't only show that. Yeah, basically, I mean, they're leaving a lot of the conclusions up to you. So they're presenting the evidence. You draw your own conclusion. It's pretty obvious, though. And where they're leading you. But so with the matter of splitting up the vote, even if people don't believe, if you think, oh well, that's just a bunch of hooey, well, then they give the example of the Ukraine and showing what happened there.
They did a good job with that, right?
Yeah.
Also
so
with
then
Georgia,
you're left thinking, well, yeah, it is important to split up the vote, or you have the whole country going, this isn't possible. We know who we voted for, and this is a lie, you know? Yeah.
Happened in Ukraine, happened in Georgia, not the Georgia that has Atlanta as its capital. Happened in something similar in Estonia. This guy is, you know, he's doing all sorts of weird stuff in Western Europe and Eastern Europe. You know, he's very canny. He's not canny strategically, though. As I was saying before, there was someone I respect deeply was saying, you know, people don't understand quite how smart, or he's saying, no, make no mistake, Putin is really sharp. Yes, well, he said smart, and I said sharp. He's sharp tactically. So his short-term goals, he's like Hitler, you know, like he's doing, and they pointed out some similarities with Hitler, and the similarities are by times uncanny. What he's doing is like he's breaking up Europe. Union. He's breaking up NATO. Well, that's interesting. You see, here's the problem with strategy. Hitler was, manipulating people here. He got hold of Austria. He got hold of the Sudetenland in the northern Czechoslovakia. Then he took over the equivalent of the Czech Republic nowadays. Slovakia was on his side, and he got this and he got that and this and that. And people are going, hey, he's getting this for free. But like what happens is eventually all this stuff came back to haunt him. Why? Because he goes after Poland and he thinks, I'm going to get it. They're going to let me have it. Nope. They let him have it. It took a long time, relatively speaking, for them to let him have it. But Germany was in ruins in a very few short years, about 6 years. And Hitler, it was so bad he committed suicide. So very bad when it came to strategic planning. Putin is the same way. So you split up NATO, and then you split Germany away from the European Union. And so what I said to this expert on the Soviet Union, on Russian history, I said, how smart is that, to split Germany away from the rest of Europe and to split it away from NATO? See, NATO, during the Cold War, kept Germany from developing nuclear weapons. Hugely important. Can you imagine someone like Hitler coming a generation later with nuclear weapons? Scary. NATO succeeded in at least that one task from keeping not just Germany but Japan from having nuclear weapons. Why would they want nuclear weapons? Because of the threat to both of them from Russia. They both neighbor on Russia, at least Japan directly. Germany's in the neighborhood. And what I said to this guy was, how long, once NATO splits up, once there's no nuclear umbrella provided by the United States to protect Germany from Russia, how long would it take Germany to develop, when would they develop nuclear weapons? And he's just, you could see him thinking, the wheels were turning. And then I said, yesterday. And understand, what would happen is the kind of Germany that this dude is setting up is a Germany where they would refuse to vote for someone who's right of center, like Angela Merkel. It would be a Germany ruled by someone to the right of Angela Merkel. So we want someone like that with nuclear weapons? I don't really think so. And the whole thing is, I don't think Russians, Putin's not smart enough to realize this, but I don't think Russians would want someone like Hitler with nuclear weapons. Understand, if Germany developed nuclear weapons, they wouldn't have as many as Russia, but they'd be better at doing it. They'd have better nuclear weapons, but you'd have a crazed person controlling them. So Putin's insane. He really is insane. I don't know if he's as insane as Hitler. He's like Stalin, who was insane, and he moves slowly. He's a creeping kind of cancer, whereas Hitler was a virulent type of cancer. It's a cancer that basically, killed the body that was living on much more quickly. But Putin is living on the body of Russia, and unless I am very wrong, he's presiding over the beginning of the further disintegration of the Russian Empire. So I guess that's my, hopefully that didn't seem like too much of a rant, but I was trying to be pretty rational about it. I feel deeply and strongly about it. This guy's
we both
clear and
recommend
present
this
danger.
documentary. It's a good one.